Right. Fine. Now let us start with the session. In last session, I completed constructor injection. Now we'll see the bean auto wiring. This is the most important concept. Bean auto wiring. Bean auto wiring. Generally, why to go for this bean auto wiring concept? Generally, this concept is used for without configuring the inner beans. Directly I want to place inner bean to outer bean. We no need to configure the inner beans inside the outer bean. Directly we can place this inner bean to outer bean. If we want to place the inner beans inside the outer bean automatically, then we have to go for bean auto wiring concept. Bean auto wiring concept. Fine. See now here, by default bean auto wiring concept is disable mode. We have to enabling the bean auto wiring concept. If we want to enabling the bean auto wiring concept, now what we have to do? We have to use along with our outer bean one attribute called that is auto wire. We have to use one attribute called auto wire. This auto wire having totally 5 values. Number 1, by name. Number 2, by type. Number 3, constructor. Number 4, auto detect. Number 5, none. These 5 are values of auto wire attribute. Auto wire having totally 5 types of values: by name, by type, constructor, and auto detect. None is by default none only. That means disable mode only. Okay, we have to configuring the manually. For example here I am taking the one class here, class A. Under that BB. Now public void set B. Now BB. This dot B is equal to B. This is class C. Class A is what? Outer bean. Class B is what? Inner bean. This is class B. Now under that public void set A. Now A. This dot A is equal to A. Then close class B. Class A and class B. See now here, A class is what? Outer bean. This is the inner bean. Generally, how to configuring this A and B classes inside the Spring configuration file? We have to configure like this: spconfig.xml. After configuring, now we have to take here what? DTD. The next bean ID is equal to ID1. Class is equal to A. Then next after that, because of this setter method, we have to take here what? Property. property name is equal to B. Under that, ref local is equal to id2. The next, close the property, the next close the bin. The next, we have to configuring the B class. How to configure? We have to configure like this, right? We have to configure like this. So now bin id is equal to id2, class is equal to B. The next, property name is equal to A. The next, ref local is equal to id1. Close the bin, close the bins. We have to configuring the inner bins as well as outer bin. A class here, A class is the outer bin, id2 means B class, this is the inner bin. In A class, B class is the inner bin, in B class, A class is the inner bin. How to configuring the inner bin? We have to use the property element and the ref element, and we can configure. This configuration we call them as explicit configuration. Explicitly we are configuring here B class inside the A class, but I don't want to configure like this. I want to place the B class object inside the A class without configuring like this. Without configuring like this explicitly, I want to place B class object inside the A class. If we want to place like that, now what we have to do? We have to go for bin auto wiring concept. Using that bin auto wiring concept, without configuring the inner bins explicitly like this, we can place the inner bins to outer bin happily. If we want to place like that, now first of all we have to enabling the auto wiring concept. If we want to enabling the auto wiring concept in our application, we have to use auto wire attribute along with our outer bin. So now here auto wire having totally 5 types of values: by name, by type, constructor, auto detect. Based on these values, now the Spring container is going to be injecting that inner bin to outer bin. So now how it is, we will see here. I am going to take class example bin1, under that private example bin2 eb2. The next, public void set eb2. Now example bin2 eb2. Now this dot eb2 is equal to eb2. Public void show. Now here eb2 dot m1 method is available to the example bin2. If we want to call the m1 method, what is required? Example bin2 is required. Now how to configuring this inner bin as well as outer bin inside the Spring configuration file, we will see here. This is the Spring configuration file, spconfig.xml. 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 So now here first of all we have to take the DTD, the next beans, bean ID is equal to ID1, class is equal to example bean1, example bean1. The next, along with this bean we can use what? Auto wire. Auto wire is equal to by name. I am using what? Auto wire is equal to by name. Whenever we are using the auto wire is equal to by name, while configuring the inner bean, inner bean reference variable, inner bean ID must and should we have to take what? Same. Then only the spring container is going to be injecting the an inner bean to outer bean. Otherwise, it doesn't injected. See now how it is configured. Outer bean configuration completed. The next bean ID is equal to what is the inner bean reference variable here? EB2. Then class is equal to example bean2. Example bean2. Then close the beans. Over. So now, am I using the ref element here? No. Am I using the local? No. Without using the property element, ref element and local, directly we can place the inner bean to outer bean. So now here, while configuring the auto wire is equal to by name, inner bean reference variable, inner bean ID must and should we have to take what? Same. Must and should we have to take the same. Then only the spring container is going to be injecting that inner bean to outer bean. So now, whenever we are making the request factory.getBean of ID1, getBean of ID1, what is happening internally? Internally, the spring container is trying to creating the ID1. So now, whenever it is trying to creating the ID1 object, already we are enabling here auto wire is equal to by name. Based on this name, first of all, it is looking to the container inside this example bin. Okay, any inner beans are there or not? Yes, it is there. Example bean2 is there. So now it is trying to creating the example bean2. If we want to creating the example bean2 object, this EB2 must and should same. If both are same, then only it is going to be creating an object. After creating an object, and it is going to be placed into this example bean object inside this example bean1. So now that is happening internally whenever we are making the request factory.getBean of ID1. So now instead of here by name, whenever we are taking the here by type, whenever we are taking the by type here, we no need to take here EB2. Your choice, any name you can take. But internally the spring container, before creating an object, it is going to be comparing this example bean2 class and this class, both are same or not. If both are same, then only it is going to be creating an object. Otherwise, it doesn't creating an object. Right? So now we have to see this example practically. Okay. Opening the Eclipse IDE. Right, we will create the one project. So we have to create the one project here. We have to create the one project here. Click on file menu, new, Java project, Java project. We have to give the project name bean auto wiring. Auto wiring. So first we need to add the libraries, build path, configure build path, add external jars. So now what are the jars are required here? Number one, commons logging. Number two, spring.jar. So spring.jar, commons logging, then click on OK. Then next after that, we have to create the one class that is example bean1. Example bean1. So under that we have to take private example bean2 eb2. Now generate the setter method for this property. Right click, source, then next after that public void show, then next eb2 dot m1 method. Now we can design the example bean2. So right click on src, new class, Control V, then finish. So now here public void m1, then next system.out.println, I am the inner bean. I am the inner bean. Then we have to generate the spring configuration file. Right click on src, others, xml, spconfig.xml. sp-config.xml. Now what we have to do, we have to take DTD first of all. Copy this DTD from the net or existing applications. And paste here. The next, after that, beans, under that bean, id is equal to id1, then class equal to example bean1. Now along with this bean configuration we have to take auto wire. So auto wire is equal to by name. Whenever we are taking the default, we have to configure manually by name. The next, after that, bean id is equal to, assume that here I am taking the id2, then class equal to example bean2, then close it over, then close the beans. This is the way to configuring the inner bean as well as outer bean. Fine. We need to develop what? Client application testing purpose. Right click on src, new class client. Under that, first of all we need to import core.io.star package. The next, import org.beans.factory.star package. Import org.beans.factory.xml. The next, main method. The next, resource res is equal to new class path resource. So this is what purpose. Load the Spring configuration file, sp-config.xml. The next, bean factory container. Bean factory is equal to new XML bean factory. Now we can pass here what? res. The next, after that object y is equal to factory dot get bean of id1. The next, example bean one EB1 is equal to example bean of O. The next EB1 dot show. EB1 dot show. Over. Like this, we can develop the client application. Now we can run this application. Right click on client, Java application. So we are getting what? Null pointer exception. Generally, when we will get the null pointer exception? Without the object, if you are calling the any methods, then we are getting what? Null pointer exception. That means here, object doesn't injected. Spring container doesn't injected here. Example bean 2 is there na? Example bean 2 object doesn't injected by the spring container. Why? Because here we are configuring example bean 1 and example bean 2 both in where? Spring configuration file. Both we are configuring in spring configuration file. I said already, while configuring the inner bean, whatever reference variable we are taken, okay, the same reference variable we have to take while configuring the inner bean. So now what is the reference variable? EB2. So must and should we have to take the same name only. Why? Because here auto-wire is equal to what we are taken? By name we are taken. So that is the reason in auto-wiring concept, whenever we are taking the by name, then inner bean reference variable, inner bean ID must and should same. Then only the container is going to be injected. So now once again we have to try it, that example. Now we will see. I am the inner bean. Like this, by name is going to be working. In the same way, whenever we are using the by type here, whenever we are in the by type here, your choice here. Inner bean configuration time, here EB2 na, ID2 na or Durga na, your choice. Any name we can take. Now we can run. It is going to be working. Why? Because the container is going to be verified by the that type and this type. Both are same, then only it is going to be injected. Like this, by name and by type is going to be working. So in the same way, constructor is there. How the constructor is going to be working, we will see here. So this is my class EX1. Under that, private EX2. Now here, whenever we are taking the auto-wire is equal to constructor, in our bean class must and should constructor is required. See now here, EX1. Public void show. Now ex2 dot m1. So m1 method is available to then where exe2. How to configuring this inner bean as well as this outer bean? We have to configure like this. spconfig.xml. So now here, first of all, take the DTD. The next beans, bean id is equal to id1, class is equal to what? exe1. Then auto wire is equal to here what we have to take? Constructor. Auto wire is equal to constructor. The next, how to configuring the inner bin? Bin id is equal to id2, class is equal to ex2. Then close the beans. We have to configuring like this. Whenever we are making the request factory dot get bean of id1, factory dot get bean of id1 in our client application. Now the container is going to be verified. First of all, this type and this type both are same or not. This type and this type both are same or not. If both are same, now the object was going to be created by the spring container. Which class object? exe2. After creating the exe2 object, now the spring container is trying to injecting this object inside this exe1. Before injecting this exe2 object inside this exe1, now first of all, inside this exe1 constructor is there or not? If the constructor is there, then only the spring container is going to be injecting this exe2 inside this exe1. Otherwise, spring container doesn't injecting. Why? Because here auto wire is equal to constructor, we mentioned already. Auto wire is equal to constructor. Whenever we are mentioned auto wire is equal to constructor, first it is going to be verified this type and this type both are same or not. Yes, both are same. Now object is going to be created. After creating, this object is trying to injecting inside this class. So now, before injecting that class inside this class, that object, first of all, constructor is there or not? If the constructor is there, then only it is going to be injected. Otherwise, it doesn't injected. Like this constructor is going to be working. Now, another attribute, another value is there, that is auto detect. Auto detect is working as a both. Okay, both means first it is acting as a constructor. If the constructor is there in our bean class, it is going to be injecting that object. If the constructor is not there, then it is acting as a by type. Like that, auto detect is going to be working. If the constructor is there, then it is acting as a constructor. If the constructor is not there, then it is acting as a by type. Like this auto detect is going to be working in our Spring framework. Now we'll see one example based on this. Right. See, now here I am taken one class exe1. Under that, private exe2. Then next, here I am going to take the setter method. First of all, right click, source, select setter. Okay, the next, public void show. The next, exe2 dot m1. The next, after that right click on src, new class, ex2. The next private. So what we have to take? Private. Otherwise directly we can take public void m1, public void m1. The next syso control space, I am the inner bin, I am the inner bin, I am the inner bin. The next, go to the Spring configuration file. So now in this Spring configuration file, we have to configuring like this: bin id is equal to id1, class equal to ex1, auto-wire is equal to constructor. Auto-wire is equal to constructor. The next, bin id is equal to id2, then class equal to ex2. Then go to the client application. In client application, we have to take like this: ex1, the next ex1. After that, eb1 dot show method. Right click, run as Java application. We are getting null pointer exception. What is the problem? Here in exe1, what is required? Constructor is required, right? Because auto-wire is equal to constructor we mentioned. Then must and should constructor is required or not? Yes. So now exe1, then exe2. Then next, exe2, this dot exe2 is equal to exe2, then over. Now go to the client and we can run as Java application. We are getting what? I am the inner bin. So now instead of auto-wire is equal to constructor, we have to take what? Auto detect. Whenever we are taking the auto detect, first it is acting as a constructor, then next it is acting as a by type. So like this auto detect is going to be working, right? Auto detect is going to be working. See, for example, here I am taken inside exe1, I am taken what? Setter. So now here we have to take the source. Okay, fine. So now here go to the client and we can run. Right click, run as Java application. So like this, auto detect is working as a constructor as well as by type, right? So now that's all for today. Then tomorrow I am going to continue the remaining part.